How's it, everyone? Thanks for watching Island Hooking. Today I want to do some tips. I know a lot of people are asking, some information about how do you pick the lure, or what kind of pole to use, and so on. So I'll share with you some of the things that I've done and some of the mistakes. For one thing is that anytime you get into plugging, you gotta get different type of lures at times. I mean, you can try, not all one lure will be the best for every situation. Sometimes you need a lure that's heavier, bigger, smaller, lighter, more dynamic. One that's under the water, one that goes above the water. There's so much different styles that you could use. But one thing that I noticed is that I try to use a little bit more stiffer poles. I mean, you can use a softer pose depending again how big your lure is, and how much your pole can handle. And again, it depends on you too, on your skill level. But the pole makes a big difference. I usually run like the heavy, medium to heavy poles. I get 9-foot, 10-foot poles that I use. You can even use 7-foot poles as well. They work fantastic. Again, depending on your build, what kind of lures you're going to throw out, how strong you are. It all makes a difference on the size of the pole and how far you really want to get the lures out. Some people want to throw at 60 to 80 and that's enough. Some want to go farther, so it depends. And some want the big lures, some want the small lures. Some are going for big fish, some are going for small GTs. It all depends. So it'll vary and all that. And if you're fishing in shallow water, deep water, that all makes a difference too in what kind of lures you use as well. I lost a lot of lures in the shallow waters, and some of the things I had to learn the hard way, And I realized that some of the ones that, like the GT ice cream, as great as they are, and they do float above the water fantastic when you're retrieving it, but when it hits the water, if you don't retrieve it fast, it'll sink like a rock. And if it's not really deep, you have a great chance of losing your lure just like that. So that's something that I might not, you might not want to use if it's kind of shallow. You kind of want to use something that hits the water and that then floats up and not go under the water. So that's why the Kaku lures are good, because they actually float really well. The Orca lures are good too. I see, for shallow waters, and you can see the videos of me fishing on the shallow rocks, and you can see the lure just gliding over the rocks and not really getting stuck on the bottom. So that's why it depends on where you're going, and certain lures work better than other lures. So I know one of my friends was asking, when you're in the ocean, like for us, when we go to the spot, we we just don't go in unless you know the spot. You have an idea of what works or doesn't work, and if you don't know, it's good to just look at the ocean first. Kind of look at which way she's breaking, if it's a shore break, if it's breaking far out, if it's deep, if it's shallow, if there's wind, if there's surfers out there, if there's a reef, there's a lot of rock. You gotta look at your terrain first. You can't just jump in and go, and watch what's happening out there first. See how big the waves is, where it's crashing, where is a good place for you to actually stay and throw your pole out. Is it safe? And again, safety is number one, right? We don't risk our life for the fish. Fish is for the fun of it, but we also go there being smart and using some common sense, because you can get hurt, you can get killed, so you have to be real careful. And once you understand your surroundings, you understand where the wind's blowing, which way the wind's blowing, how deep the water is, how rough it is, what kind of rocks is it loose rocks, big rocks, small rocks, and also you got to check your tides, right? When is high tide, when is low tide. So it will determine again what kind of lure you're gonna use. You're gonna use big lure, small lure, heavy lure, lures that float, lures that go under. You need the distance. You gotta clear the rocks. So again, it's important to know where you're going and kind of read what's out there. And then from there, when you get all the information, Then can you look at your lures and decide, okay, which lure I'm gonna use, which pole I'm gonna use, which reel I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use a 30-pound test reel, or I'm gonna use a 50-pound test reel, or the 65-pound test reel. You know, I'm gonna use 80-pound test leader because there's a lot of rocks, it might cut. Or do I use a 30-pound leader? Because I'm not going for something more than 20 pounds, or I'm just going to catch something 20 pounds and less. So again, it depends on what you're going for. Again, depends on the surrounding. Again, if you need the distance, then you might need a bigger pole, a longer pole, should I say, or one that lure that can fly farther. But if you do have a lure that can fly farther, you better make sure you have a reel that can hold that amount of line, right? You don't want to have 200 yards and you're throwing 150. That means you only have 50 yards left in the reel, and if the fish ever bites, you might get spooled. So you got to put that into consideration. Yeah, and the leader does make a difference, because if you're fighting GTs, you know that the GT has knives on the tails, on their tail, so they might actually hit the line and cut the line if your leader is not strong enough. Also, they might go around a rock and it might cut, and GTs are known for that. They love to go around rocks, going into the cave. Their tail cuts the line, so you want something to be strong enough. So most of the times I run 50-pound tests on my spinner, and then I run the leader but 80-pound tests. And you gotta make sure that your swivels, that if you're using swivels, they're geared for heavy fish. Yeah, so, and if you don't know, you can always go to the fishing store. Those guys are helpful. You can tell them what you're looking for, what you're doing, and they'll give you the right type of split rings, if you want to split rings, snap rings, or swivels, and so on. And they can kind of guide you to that area. Or you can look it online, yeah? How to set up the leader, how long you should get it, and all that. And again, it's all different. It's all towards, you know, how long your pole is, how tall you are. You know, I mean, if you're 5 feet tall, and you don't want the leader to be like 10 feet long, right? It'll touch the ground and you won't be able to throw it. So you gotta gauge by your height, the length of your pole, and all that too. So again, it's trial and error. You'll find that happy medium, and then and it's all about fine tuning. Once you get it fine tuned, it becomes easier for you guys, and then you can start slowly getting better at casting it. And you know, again, you gotta get used to your pole, the reel, the line, then how the lures work, and so on. But with the information that we share and we do, it'll make your guys' job that much easier, because you can know what each lure does, how it works, when to use it, and then you get to choose among the lures which one might be your style. So that's what Island Hooking is all about. It's all about this site is all about educating, catching fish, of course, and testing it out and giving you guys information so you guys can figure out what will work best for you. Yeah, because everybody's different. You know, there's no one size pole that is the best. Again, you know, I've seen guys catch with 7-foot poles, 8 foot, 9, 10. You know, it all depends on you, how you guys want to do it, and they're all good. If it works for you, don't change anything. Keep doing what you guys do. Yeah, but if you feel there's something wrong, or if you feel that you need more distance, or you feel that your pole is too soft, or your reel is too small, or line is, then that's when you might have to change it up. Yeah, so a lot of it is trial and error. And don't be shocked that you make a mistake, because you will make a mistake and you might screw up, but that's okay. That's how you guys learn, and that's how you guys get better, and each time you guys do it, you'll perfect it. So, you know, we keep, and you know, I went through like maybe 5-6 different poles already that I bought, because each time you buy it, you know, again, it's a 50-50 chance, right? You think it's going to be stiff, then you find out it's not that stiff, or you find out that the pole isn't as great as you thought it was. So you have to sometimes spend money and until you can, and it's all about, like I said, fine tuning. You know, you keep fine tuning. You keep it with one pole, and you find out the pole is maybe a little too soft. I'm gonna have to get a stiffer pole, so you buy a stiffer pole. Then you're looking at like, oh, maybe I need a little bit longer, so you start buying a longer pole. So each time you notice that you're spending money, but you're slowly fine tuning your craft, fine tuning the game. Once you find what you're looking for, then you stick with that, and then you'll be happy, and then you'll probably start really catching a lot of fish at at that time after that, because you already did all the mistakes, you tweaked it, you fine-tuned it, you got the right gear, the equipment. Now the prime time comes, when it's season, you be ready. So usually like this off season right now, it's not prime time, it's off season for us. So this is the time where we experiment with different poles, reels, lines, lures, and we're not expecting to really catch because it's not the season, but if we do, that's just bonus for us. But it's a good time to try different gears out, and we like to do that and to see what works, what doesn't work. But we use this time to do that. So we experiment a lot, and then hopefully when the time comes, we'll fine-tune the craft, and when season comes around, we'll be ready. So we pretty much had this downtime to really experiment and see what works. So you guys can do that too. There'll be times where it's slow, experiment, see if that lure is great for you, see if you're happy with the distance, and then from that point on, you can start slowly weeding out the pros and cons, and then really start getting to know your reels and poles and really getting good at what you do. Because if you don't go out doing it every single time, you'll never be good at it. And what we do is that a lot of my fishing friends, they all have different reels, different lures, different poles. It's a great time to go out with them and then go try out their poles and see how well their poles are. Because sometimes you might find out that, wow, this pole is what I'm looking for. And then once you see the size, the length, and everything, you can go back to the fishing store and get one. Or you can try their reel out so you can see how smooth their reel is. So that's why it's great to know a lot of people who fish, because you can really start trying out their gear, and they can try out your gear and vice versa, and then everybody learns something from each other. So sometimes going out with a group of friends that fish is good, because you can try out their gear as well. Because a lot of these guys, they end up buying other stuffs every single time, and they start getting some neat stuff, new lures and different type of poles and lines. It's just cool that everybody has their own style, and sometimes you might find something that they have that you might like. So don't be afraid to try. That's the only way you can get better at what you guys do. Sometimes we go low tide because of the fact that we want to go step on the reef. Sometimes high tide, we can't go on the reef. So we get hit with the waves, and you've seen some of our videos, we get pounded by the waves. So sometimes low tide is good too, and they're hungry, they'll come in. So it's not always high tide is the best. GTs, Uluwas, guys catch them in low tide, guys catch them in high tide, full moon, no moon, 5 days after the moon, they catch them. So, but if you don't have your pole out there, you don't have your line out there, your lure out there, chance of you catching is 0. But at least if you put your lure out there, you have 50-50 chance now. So you just increase the chances of you catching if you go out there. If you stay at home, no chance. So you gotta keep going and being persistent and consistent, and you gotta keep going at it, and eventually you will hit it. And sometimes when you do get a hit, and if it ever breaks or you lose the fish, yeah, it hurts, but you're gonna learn a lot from it. Either you're gonna find out that the swivel or your knot wasn't good enough, then yeah, it's a great lesson. You're gonna learn, okay, maybe I gotta get better swivel, maybe I gotta tie the knots better, maybe I gotta learn a stronger knot. But you see, so even though you lost the fish, you're gonna gain something though with that. So sometimes, not every time you lose a fish, it's a bad thing. You're gonna learn something from it, and then you're gonna fine-tune it, and next time, hopefully, when you do get a hit, you have a better chance now of bringing them up. So don't be afraid to lose, and you will lose the fish sometimes. It happens. This is fishing, right? And sometimes they won't bite. But again, this is what they call fishing. It's not catching. It's called fishing, right? If you always catch it, then you must call it catching. But you don't catch all the time, so that's why we call it fishing. You gotta go fish for the fish, right? So just keep that in mind. This is fishing. So you can win some, you can lose some. Me, my friend, my partner, we fish for 10 hours almost every day sometimes, or every other day, or once or twice a week, and we're out there walking like 10 miles in, 10 miles out, from the morning to late afternoon, not one bite, nothing, zero. And not just one time, we go out again and zero again, zero. So a lot of people don't realize that when you see these footages of guys catching fish, it looks fun, it looks easy, but you don't see behind what's happening, how long they had to fish and how much blood and sweat and money they put in just to catch that fish and put it on video for you guys to see. It's a lot of work, lots and lots of work. So if you think it's gonna be easy, it's not that easy. And if you're plugging, you know, sometimes guys like us, we do hit and run. You know, we hit a spot, doesn't bite, we move right to the next spot, and we keep moving. And sometimes you gotta be in shape. Especially here in Maui, there's a lot of lava rocks. If you can't walk on lava rocks, then you know you limit yourself, yeah, to certain places you can only go. On top of that, we walk 10 miles sometimes, and that's one way. So you gotta be in shape as well. On top of that, you gotta be able to carry your gear and still be able to plug all day without hurting. And trust me, you're gonna hurt, but you gotta get that stamina to handle. You know, but you gotta get the right proper gears too, right? So you notice we wear the long sleeves, you know, the ones that dry fitted ones. You can get it anywhere. It's good to be protected from the sun, right? You don't want to get hit by the sun. So we try to cover as much as you can. We have gloves. We put, of course, sunscreen. We have polarized shades so we can see the fish in the water, cuts the glare. We have hats, even the whole headgear. So we do try to protect ourselves as much as we can out there. We carry walkie-talkies, so when we're apart, you know, we can communicate. And later on, I'll show you. I'll probably do a video about the gear, what I carry in my packs, like that. So you have an understanding of how we do it. And I'm thinking, yeah, of course, you can probably see our videos. You can look at that igloo backpack that we carry, or how we carry our drinks, and as well as our bait, or even the fish, how we carry the fish back. So, you know, there's a lot of great information on this site. So watch that, and then you can learn. But I'll probably do one for the gearing, you know, all the gear that we carry and what's in our bag, so you get an idea of what we carry, yeah. But again, you know, I'll give you more tips. We'll just keep in touch, and I'll share with you more information. Hopefully it'll make your guys time and make you guys plugging much easier. Hopefully that it'll keep you more safe. And you can see that when we're out there, it's not just grabbing the pole and going out. You know, there is we do think about what we're doing. You know, we do look at what we're up against, and then we do have to try to figure out what tools or what lures or poles we need to get the job done. So a lot of this is just trial and error. But I'm hoping that, you know, I can kind of minimize and help you guys out and give you this information, so at least when you guys going out there, you guys not going out there blindly. You guys have some sort of game plan when you guys go out there, yeah. Not just going there and just jumping into the ocean, or just throwing your poles out and just hoping to catch something, you know. So keep in touch, stay tuned, and I'll give you guys more tips. So hope you guys have a great day. Hope you guys catch a big fish, and keep on checking Island Hooking, and I'll take you guys later. You guys take care.